Baron with One Chiropractic, still going with Dr. Hoffman. We might be doing this for the next 10 years. Who knows? Because it's such great information. But we're going to continue this conversation of how do you change how you're communicating to your patients in your practice. And so last session, he talked about stress, and he really went in and gave you a lot of great information about using the word stress and how to communicate that. So Dr. Hoffman, what do you have for us today?
So if in the last video, one of the things we talked about is that when the brain's balanced, the body's balanced. When the brain's imbalanced, the body's imbalanced. So I mentioned that when the brain is imbalanced, the body's imbalanced, but it has lots of different names and lots of different diseases. The opposite is also true. When we can rebalance the brain, the body self-corrects and rebalances. But that only has one name. It's called healing. And that's what we specialize in. If you stop and think about this, how could you do Logan Basic, upper cervical specific, Gonstead, activator, Corin specific technique, SOT blocks? How could all of that stuff work as well as it has worked, time-tested worked over all these years when you're approaching the spine from every completely different angle, method, hard force, no force? Just think about that. Well, there's an answer, because all of them are normalizing and maximizing brain function. How can we say that chiropractic's good for back pain, migraines, infertility, asthma, allergies, heart problems? How can we say anything like that with any logic? No wonder the MDs are incensed with us at times. Well, the answer is because we don't correct any of that.
Right.
What we do is we rebalance the brain. And when the brain is rebalanced, the body rebalances. So we need to understand that. So once we started to do this, we recognized that the spine is the greatest indicator of brain balance or imbalance. It's called posture. Mm-hmm. See, lay people don't think anything's important about posture. When you do a posture evaluation for your patient, you go, well, Mrs. Jones, you got a high right shoulder, a high left hip, big freaking deal. But if you were to say, when your brain is imbalanced, it shows up in your posture, let's do a neurological evaluation. Let me look at your posture. I want to see that your ears, your shoulders, and your hips are all parallel and parallel to the floor. Let's see if you have a neurological problem or not. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Mrs. Jones, your right ear is high, your left shoulder is high, your left hip is high. This is proof positive that you have a neurological problem. And neurological problems left uncorrected, unfortunately, turn into neurological diseases. Mm-hmm. Let's get this fixed. Now, all of a sudden, posture is a big deal, isn't it?
Right.
So, number one, our spine, our posture is the first indication of brain balance or imbalance, but it's also our best gateway to improving brain balance. And wow. That's our claim to fame. We didn't realize it. We never put our finger quite on it, but that's it. The spine is the best indicator and the best gateway relative to the brain. So that's again, awesome. We had to change the conversation, and how we changed the conversation from the very beginning, how we change the trajectory of the relationship as we go from pain to brain is, Doc, look at your case history form. First, it's the same case history form you've always used. It's probably the one your chiropractor gave you when you were in school that he or she always used. It's been around for decades. And I guarantee that there are questions on there that you don't even look at the answers before you go in to see the new patient anymore. We'll take some of those out. Because quite frankly, if my patient's maternal grandmother had diabetes, doesn't change me accepting the patient or not, or where I'm supposed to adjust her. Right? So let's replace 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 questions that are now useless and put in some stress questions. I'll give you some examples. Where in your body do you hold and carry your stress? Now, there's a couple of remarkable things about this simple question. Everybody has an answer.
Right.
It might be their head, their jaw, their neck, their chest, their back, their middle back, lower back, their abdomen, their feet, but everybody's got an answer. Mm-hmm. I'm not asking the question to get an answer and jotting it down in my folder and moving on to the next question. It's the beginning of a process.
Right.
In communication, it's called punch, counterpunch. And what that means is I'm going to respond to their response. So if I were to ask you, Baron, where in your body do you hold or carry your stress? And you go, my neck and shoulders. I'm going to go, do you think that's mostly physical stress, chemical stress, or emotional stress, or all of the above? Number one answer, all of the above. Number two, emotional. Really?
Yeah.
Really? So I'm going to go, in my experience, everybody, because we're human, have 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 times a year where they have really more stress than ever. When that happens, is there a second place in your body that you hold and carry your stress? Yeah, in my abdomen. I get digestive problems. See, now they're thinking about their body and stress. This is perhaps the first time that this patient has ever cognated the connection that, of course, I know I have stress, but now I know it's affecting my body. And that was the disconnect. Every patient knows they're stressed. They know their stress is getting worse. They just don't know, does it have any impact on their brain, their body, their life?
Right.
And by asking a question like, where in your body do you hold and carry your stress, and doing it the way I just gently and gone over the process, believe me, I can dig deeper and deeper into this.
Sure.
All of a sudden, it changes the trajectory of the relationship, the doctor-patient relationship. But I created 40 new questions. Nobody on earth needs 40 new questions. I created 40 new questions so you could pull 4 or 5 out.
Right.
So there are questions like, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being minimum and 10 being maximum, how would you rate an average, not your best, not your worst, an average day of stress in your life? Over 80% of the people answer somewhere between 7 and 8.
Right.
Punch, counterpunch. Really, Baron, on an average day, your stress level is a 7? Serious? Yeah. I need you to know that the brain and nervous system was never designed to handle that level of stress day after day after day without damage, degeneration, and disease setting in. That concerns me. I'm a little surprised by your answer, but that concerns me. See, now all of a sudden, necessity.
Right.
Okay? And these are the types of questions that change the trajectory of the relationship, change the relationship, and move us away from pain to the brain. Now, I want to clarify that. I'm not anti-pain. If someone in your town or your community or your province has pain, I'd rather them go to a pain chiropractor all day than take drugs.
Sure.
So I'm not anti-pain. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm not against it. I still want to help my patient feel better. I want to help my patient feel better as soon as humanly possible. You know why? A, I care about people. And B, I want to win over their trust, their respect, and their admiration. Because that's how you establish a new relationship. And we need to recognize that we're in the relationship business.
Exactly right.
Those of us who are best at initiating, maintaining, and improving relationships do best in life.
Yep.
So I want to earn that right. I want to build a relationship by getting the best results I can symptomatically as soon as I can. But I need to educate my patient. Care doesn't end when your symptoms go away.
Right.
Care begins when your symptoms go away. Getting your symptoms to go away is chiropractic first aid.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't a correction. Let me tell you what I discovered, Mrs. Jones. If I help you feel better, these are the terms. If I help you feel better, and if I don't help you function better, you won't feel better for very long.
Yep.
That symptoms are the last thing that shows up in the disease process, and it's the first thing that goes away in the healing process. Feeling better is just the first step on the ladder to healing. It isn't healing.
Yep.
Healthy people always feel great, but feeling great doesn't tell me you're healthy.
That's right.
So I need to dig deeper than that. Care continues. I need you to understand the gap between feeling and functioning. My main goal today is to help you to feel better. But my long range goal for us and our partnership is to help you function better. And by functioning better, let me tell you what I mean. Of course, your pain's going to go away, but you're going to sleep more soundly. You're going to have more energy. Your digestion is going to improve. Your immune system is going to be better. Your posture is going to be better. You're going to handle stress more efficiently. Your cognition and brain function is going to be significantly better. You're going to be happier. You're going to be more decisive. You're also going to have less anxiety, less stress, less mood swings. You're going to feel and look 10 years younger.
It's awesome.
That's so enticing to people.
Yeah.
So we need to begin. Again, the reason this book is so critical is because this book is going to give you dozens and dozens of ways to begin to change the conversation. And if I could just throw something out here that might shock some people, as we evolve, when we see brain-based chiropractic as the next evolutionary step in chiropractic, the new gold standard in chiropractic, we have to even realize that how we adjust patients has to change, regardless of what technique you prefer.
Right.
I'm not here to sell anyone a technique. I'm not here to sell anyone anything. But the fact is, we don't move bones to take the hard bone off the soft nerve. That's the old heaven.
Yep.
What we do now is we adjust the spine to normalize and maximize brain function.
That's right. We went through that extensively. I mean, we went through that extensively with Dr. Barwell, and I do want to reiterate that the goal of this series is not to get people to change what they're doing. Our goal is to change why you're doing it and then change how you talk about it. Right. That's the mission. Right. We're not interested in having you, become a best technique or a NUCA doctor, or, I want you to find whatever method, really you respond to as a practitioner, because we know they all work. Right. They all work because why we're doing it is the difference. Right. So I love everything you're sharing, because it starts bringing this down to ground level rather than being up in an ethereal, contextual, intellectual level. And so I just can't thank you enough for taking the time that you've taken to break down all of these ideas and bring it down to a street level where we can start communicating to the world about it. So, and Dr. Hoffman lifted up that book. We've talked about it in every series. I want to talk about it again. If you want a copy of his book, he's more than happy to send it to you. I need you to text to 516-231-6762, 516-231-6762. Text the word ONE, O-N-E. Remember, it stands for Optimal Neurological Expression. You're going to text 1 to that number, and then you're going to get that book. It'll give you a prompt. You can give me your name, your address, and email. And then you're going to get, a couple days later, you'll get an email with some links to some videos of Dr. Hoffman continuing to give you these examples of conversations with patients and how you can really start changing the conversation inside of your practice. So Dr. Hoffman, thank you again. It's just unbelievable stuff. Those of you watching, I hope that you're really getting to the root of what we're trying to accomplish here and that you're listening. I need you to have an open mind as we go through this. I know some of you have preconceived ideas about scripting or terminology or things. Don't let your own frustration stop you from hearing the power of what we're sharing, because you've got to start changing it differently. I don't care who you are. Retention in the chiropractic profession is pathetic. It has always been pathetic, and the proof of that is everyone's spending all this money to keep getting new ones. And if you could have retained even 10% of the new ones that you've gotten in the life of your practice, you wouldn't need another new one, right? So this is really about changing the way we engage with people, because when you start going neurologically based and brain based, when does someone stop getting adjusted? Never. Because, well, actually, let me answer that. They stop when stress is no longer a part of their life. And when that happens, give me the pill, because I don't know anyone that doesn't have some form of stress in their life. So, and it explains why they get adjusted as frequently, 1 time a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on your belief system, because of the amount of stress that they're enduring in their life. And when we start communicating that way, people start understanding it, the intensity, the priority goes up. We're no longer that thing that we canceled.
I love that you're saying that. Listen, I've been getting adjusted at least once a week for the last 45 years.
Yep.
Good enough for me. It's good enough for my patients.
That's right. That's exactly right. I tell people that and we all do. And that's why I ask doctors that question typically: how often do you adjust your kids, or how often do you adjust your wife? Well, that's interesting. Why? Right? Because they don't make that correlation. They know in their mind, but they let cost and frequency and objections of patients change their outward belief system, when their inward belief system says how often they get adjusted and how often the people they love get adjusted. So that's what we're trying to do. So I love you. send that information, get those resources from Dr. Hoffman. We've got a couple more sessions left with Dr. Hoffman, so I can't wait to get into those. Share this series. Let people be a part of this conversation. The more people that get it, the better you individually will gain. The more you'll get out of this, because our world is more conscious about what we're doing. So we love you. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless.